All right, hello everyone. Here we are back for another tournament guide for the Tropic Kings. This is going to be Master Guide. My first look at this course from the third tee here. Let's see what they give us. Wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of challenging crosswind. What they've been doing pretty regularly on this hole. That's more or less what we're looking at again. So what I'll typically do from these tees is go this way. It's a bit of a safer approach. Doesn't require much power. Might not require any power actually. There's 5 rings. I'm going to go maybe about 9 rings, so you'll see that I put it down here in the sand. 9 rings plus some curl, just a little bit of power as well, minimally. Hopefully that great ball doesn't cost me. Well, it looks pretty good. So right down the middle here, it's pretty much the only good chance that you have to avoid, definitely to make sure that you avoid the rough and get a par pretty much out of the equation. What's nice about it is you'll have a relatively straight wind going over this way. It's something you can do. Hopefully it's not something that you mess up. The second shot is going to be abnormally challenging because it's going to be so much of a crosswind that it's not worth going that way. So that's the main reason that this is the only tee box that I typically don't go this way. I would if they ever set up the wind design to kind of point that direction. It just doesn't seem that they ever do. But that is pretty much perfect. I mean, but just think about, one great ball over is in the rough. So very tough to execute, even with as good as that shot is. Still going to be a very tough. And what I typically do is I typically bring Guardian. Has a little bit more backspin, gives you just a little bit more flexibility on what you can do here. Because what you're going to see that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to land just a little bit more aggressive than I want to. Now, with the way that I need to probably, avoid short hitting this, I'm going to go about 10 rings here. Maybe just a wee bit of curl. Yeah, didn't want that great ball. Should be okay. Jeez. So just clips the rough. Anytime you move down to lower ground, you have the risk of, it landing short. It's not my ring play that caused that to happen. It's the fact that you move the target to lower ground. So typically what I do to avoid that is bring the Guardian. What that allows me to do is crank up the backspin more. I didn't have to get as aggressive as I wanted. I just wanted to try to, at least if I'm putting together a guide for you guys, give you guys a chance at the hole out. So I wasn't just playing it safe. Typically, if I wanted to avoid that happening, I would probably under adjust that even one more ring just to be on the safe side, to avoid disaster. But what I recommend that you do is bring the Guardian. I don't recommend you play it this way. It's just too hard. It's too hard to consistently hit it in the fairway there and make sure that you don't go in the rough. So I do prefer going to the right-hand side. And even with, this mistake that I made, this should be very easy. It would just pretty much come down to perfect ball more so than anything. Looks like just a tiny bit early on the timing. So sure enough, it's just going to sit right on the lip. But no big deal. It's not like I'm trying to qualify today anyway. So I'm just going to put myself in the replay pool right now and get easier matches throughout this guide. So as I mentioned, the best thing to take from there is kind of play it that way, bring your guardian, and it'll make your life just a little bit easier and possible to be able to master that wind. If you can just crank up the backspin a little bit more, it makes you not have to get as aggressive on your line. As you can see, I have to land kind of 1 ring from the edge. In order to pull it off with a guardian, you can land about 2 rings from the edge, giving you that extra security blanket of not clipping that rough. So good luck there, and I'll catch you guys on the